Welcome to Lesbian Training for Men. This is episode 11, A Good Day to Die. I was listening to an interview today wherein the quote, "It is a good day to die," from Crazy Horse came up. And what was discussed is that this quote is often misunderstood. Crazy Horse was not saying that he wanted to end his life that day, but rather, in essence, living each day fully is the best preparation for the passage and transformation onto the next life, thus making any day wherein death could come at any moment a transitional time for all of us to be at peace with the life that we have lived. I find this to be more important than ever, simply because we are definitely in a time when behavior modification is just such a popular thing to entertain. Anywhere from slight offenses taken where there was no intention for harm, to not the request but the demand for an apology for being who you are. And in this seemingly Sisyphus-like situation wherein no one can change who they are, there seems to be an attitude or atmosphere that implies that you shouldn't stop trying. I find this to be disturbing but also very curious. Just as in the song Cold by Annie Lennox, wherein she says, "Dying is easy, it's living that scares me to death." And in this very small sentence, we find the conundrum that is around us all of the time, seemingly now, wherein so many are shamed for not longing for their own demise, not at the natural end of their lives, but far, far before they have passed on. And in this strange reverse fantasy of living forever, the slow motion, insufferable wasting away and dying incrementally before ever getting near the grave is a nightmare that is spiritually, emotionally, and physically so inappropriate that it seems a strange wonder that we even have to talk about it. The preoccupation for how to be something different, how to sound like something different, how to look like something different than what you are, is a distraction of such a magnitude that though it is completely false in all aspects of its nature, its sheer volume, like a cumulus cloud, becomes a nearly complete convincing of its inscalability and unmitigated control over the quality of our lives. And while the Apostle Paul said, "I die daily," what he actually was saying was that he was putting away the things, just as he had also expressed that when he was a child he played with childish things, but when he became a man he put away such childish things. That our growth and development, closer and closer to the design of what we were intended to be, is not the same thing as truncating ourselves to the point of our own confusion and rendering us unable to recognize who we are any longer. As in the concepts that I've covered and come up with about inversion and inverting something, we find that the answer is in the seeming problem, that in reverse engineering each problem and each issue, we can rest assured that if we are facing judgments or psychological phenomena that suggests that we are not to be who we are, then we automatically know that through its manufacturing, we have its answer before it can do really any damage. And that is to go to the core of what is being said and why it's being said and who is saying it and what they are gaining by saying such things. And I'd say that it would be important, obviously, to ask what it is that we might lose by adhering to such words and thoughts. But the lie that anything can touch us, as we are in God's keeping, we are God's children, is the fear that is the fuel throughout everything that moves in this strange grid that is controlled by those who have no power. In these decades of this century and the last, We have become so acclimated to synthetic and artificial materials and ways in which we conduct relationships that it seems our unsuspecting obedience that leads sometimes to accolades, validation, and synthetic love, which isn't love at all, has created a false signal through which it is designed for us to erroneously set our compasses to. In the revelation and unveiling of who we are, in this time period, at these coordinates in history, it is so important for us to remember that however sweet life may be, and whatever we may face in tragedy and even horror, that we always have at our disposal a way to live that is true to ourselves and not complicit in the erasing of what will matter to us, not only when we do die, but all along the way. And so, as it is the nature of men to take on dangerous jobs and to protect families and those around them, let us remember that it is God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, and thus to enjoy that which we are protecting and to revel in the honor that is involved, so that we are not conceivably snatched from the face of the earth, but come to our hard-won and well-earned transition, knowing that it is a good day to die.